climate change, super-typhoons, and the timeless prophecy of Master Huynh, an analysis through the lenses of science, Buddhist philosophy, and the wisdom of Hoa Hao Buddhism. 1. Introduction: a global storm, where modern science meets ancient prophecy. In the year 2025, humanity confronts an undeniable reality. Our planet is ailing. Scientific reports from the Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change, IPCC, are no longer distant forecasts, but have become descriptions of our grim daily existence. We witness super-typhoons of unprecedented destructive power, record-breaking heatwaves scorching continents, prolonged droughts depleting rivers, and great floods submerging coastal regions. With its complex data and models, science has sounded the most urgent alarm about a crisis named global climate change. Yet what is both miraculous and deeply profound is that over 85 years ago, in a small village in the Mekong Delta, an enlightened being used simple verses to warn of a future bearing a strikingly similar vision. Master Huynh, the founder of Hoa Hao Buddhism, described in his Prophetic Oracles and poems a time when the order of heaven and earth would be disrupted. The sky's storms and winds are out of season. The sun and rain are also different from before. And of the terrifying disasters that would befall humanity. Until the day mountains crumble and waters dry up, the madman deeply pities the immense suffering of the people. Madman, a humble and compassionate title Master Huynh often used to refer to himself. The correspondence between the warnings of modern science and the prophecies of a religious founder is no mere coincidence. It reveals that the climate crisis is not simply a matter of physics, chemistry, or economics. Its roots run deeper, lying within the very morality and consciousness of humanity. This essay will undertake a multidimensional analysis of climate change, demonstrating that the wisdom of Hoa Hao Buddhism not only foresaw the physical symptoms of this planetary illness, but also accurately diagnosed the spiritual pathogen that caused it, thereby opening a path to holistic healing that science alone cannot provide.
Two, the scientific lens, irrefutable evidence of an ailing planet. Before delving into the depths of Buddhist philosophy, we must confront the stark truths that science has laid bare. These are no longer hypotheses, but observations and data accumulated over decades. A. The phenomena. The overall picture reveals a planet in severe imbalance. The global average temperature has risen to alarming levels, causing the melting of polar ice caps and alpine glaciers. This directly leads to rising sea levels, threatening to submerge low-lying lands, with Vietnam's Mekong Delta being among the most vulnerable. The oceans, the planet's second green lung, are becoming acidified from absorbing excess CO2, destroying coral reefs and marine ecosystems. Most severe of all is the increased frequency and intensity of extreme weather events, more powerful storms, larger floods, and longer droughts. B. The cause. Science has clearly identified humanity as the primary agent. Since the Industrial Revolution, we have burned colossal amounts of fossil fuels, coal, oil, gas, releasing billions of tons of greenhouse gases into the atmosphere, creating a heat-trapping blanket around the Earth. This is coupled with large-scale deforestation for agriculture and logging, which eliminates nature's ability to absorb CO2. Industrial agriculture, with its use of chemical fertilizers and large-scale livestock farming, also emits vast quantities of methane and nitrous oxide, greenhouse gases even more potent than CO2. C. The consequences. These impacts are no longer a future risk. We are bearing them now. Environmentally, we face the mass extinction of species and the collapse of ecosystems. Socially, we see waves of climate refugees and conflicts over increasingly scarce water and food resources. Economically, we experience supply chain disruptions, trillions of dollars in damages from natural disasters, and the immense cost of adaptation and rebuilding.
3. The Wondrous Correspondence, Warnings in the Prophetic Oracles and Poems. Over 85 years ago, when concepts like the greenhouse effect and climate change were foreign to the world, Master Huynh precisely described the manifestations of this crisis in a language both simple and profound. A. Unseasonable seasons, the disruption of nature. The sky's storms and winds are out of season. The sun and rain are also different from before, is a perfect description of what scientists today call the disruption of weather patterns. Unseasonable seasons signifies more than just erratic weather. It points to a dislocation, an upheaval in the natural cycles. The rainy season arrives later, but brings historic floods. The dry season lasts longer and is more severe. Unseasonable typhoons appear where they were once rare. This is the reality that farmers in Vietnam and across the globe are facing. B. Mountains crumbling, waters drying up. The two images of mountains crumbling and waters drying up that Master Huynh presented are two peak manifestations of environmental disaster. Mountains crumbling. This is not just a literal image of mountains collapsing. It evokes the horrific landslides caused by prolonged heavy rains on hills stripped bare of their forests. When watershed forests are destroyed, the soil can no longer hold water, leading to flash floods and landslides that bury entire villages. A tragedy that has been occurring with increasing frequency in our country and around the world. Waters drying up. This image is even more terrifying. Waters drying up is an accurate depiction of historic droughts that leave great rivers bare, reservoirs empty, and lands cracked, leaving millions without water for daily life. For the Mekong Delta, waters drying up also signifies the reduced flow of the Mekong River due to upstream hydroelectric dams and climate change, leading to deeper saltwater intrusion that devastates agriculture. When he wrote, "The madman profoundly pities the immense suffering of the people," it was the voice of an enlightened being's compassion for the suffering that humans would have to bear as a result of their own actions.
Four, the Buddhist diagnosis, the moral pathogen of the climate crisis. If science explains what is happening and how it is happening, Buddhism reveals why it is happening at the deepest level. Buddhist wisdom teaches that the external world, the container or environment, is a precise reflection of the collective state of mind of sentient beings, the contained or inhabitants. The environment is being destroyed because the human mind is obscured by the three poisons: greed, anger, and ignorance. A. Greed, the engine of endless exploitation. Consumerism and the current global economy are built upon a single principle: infinite growth. Its foundation is greed. It is a bottomless greed for material possessions, for profit, for convenience. Master Huynh pointed clearly to the dangers of materialism and identified greed as the cause of all suffering. It is this very greed that drives multinational corporations to decimate the Amazon rainforest, to extract fossil fuels despite all warnings, and to create a disposable culture that generates mountains of waste. Modern humans caught in the vortex of materialism never feel they have enough, and it is this very sense of not enough that is eroding the planet. B. Anger, the barrier to cooperation. Anger manifests as competition, envy, and a national interests first mentality. The climate crisis is a global problem that demands global cooperation, yet nations continue to argue and shift responsibility onto one another. Developed countries are unwilling to relinquish their extravagant lifestyles, while developing nations wish to follow the same path of resource-based exploitation. The lack of trust and the underlying hostility between nations have prevented decisive and unified action, turning climate summits into forums for empty promises. C. Ignorance, blindness to cause and effect and interdependence. This is the most profound poison. Ignorance is the inability to see the intricate connection between all things, the principle of dependent origination, and the law of cause and effect, karma. Humans mistakenly believe they can dump trash into a river without affecting the ocean, cut trees in the highlands without causing floods downstream, or emit CO2 without triggering storms on the other side of the world. We act as if humanity is separate from nature, as masters of the earth rather than a part of it. This ignorance prevents us from seeing that destroying the environment is to sow the seeds of our own self-destruction. From a Buddhist perspective, the act of destroying the environment is also a sin of killing on a massive scale. It is not just the killing of a few creatures, but the eradication of entire species, the annihilation of ecosystems, and the disruption of the delicate web of life that has evolved over millions of years. Five, the way out according to HHB teachings. Learn from Buddha, cultivate oneself to save the globe. Technology, renewable energy, new materials can help mitigate the impacts, but it cannot cure the disease. The true remedy must come from a revolution in consciousness and lifestyle. The teachings of HHB provide a practical path to realize this revolution. A. Inner transformation. The solution begins with each individual. To cultivate is to rectify oneself, to change from within. Each person must awaken to his responsibility to protect our common home. B. Diligence and thrift and knowing enough, the antidote to consumerism. To combat boundless greed, Master Huynh championed the virtue of diligence and thrift. The third of the 8 precepts teaches, we must not spend extravagantly or use our wealth in a way that makes us forget righteousness and morality. A diligent, simple, and non-wasteful lifestyle is the sustainable lifestyle that the planet desperately needs. This is not about deprivation, but about freedom. Freedom from the pressure to constantly consume and possess. When people learn to live with what they truly need instead of what they want, the burden on Earth's resources will be significantly reduced. C. Practicing the 4 debts of gratitude as a commitment to life. The HHB philosophy of the 4 debts of gratitude, when viewed through an environmental lens, becomes a powerful ethical compass. 1. Gratitude to ancestors and parents. To be grateful to our ancestors is not only to worship them, but also to preserve the legacy they left behind, which includes a healthy planet. We are borrowing the earth from our children, and to destroy it is an act of disrespect to both the past and the future. 2. Gratitude to the nation. To love one's country is to love its every river, forest, and coastline. The duty of a citizen is to protect the nation, not only from foreign invaders, but also from the invasion of pollution, deforestation, and environmental destruction. 3. Gratitude to the 3 jewels, Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha. To follow the Buddhist teachings on compassion is to extend that love to all sentient beings, including plants, animals, and entire ecosystems. Respect for life in all its forms is the core of Buddhism. 4. Gratitude to compatriots and humanity. This is the most global of the gratitudes. It is the awareness that our actions in Vietnam, like using plastic or consuming energy, can cause droughts in Africa or typhoons in the Americas. This understanding compels us to think and act as global citizens, responsible for the well-being of all humanity. 6. Conclusion. The future is not fate. Returning to our spiritual roots to create life. The climate crisis, described by science with dispassionate data, was foreseen long ago by Master Huynh in the language of compassion and wisdom. He not only predicted the phenomena of unseasonable seasons and mountains crumbling, waters drying up, but also pointed to their deep-seated cause, a spiritual illness named greed, anger, and ignorance. Therefore, the solution cannot come solely from international conferences or technological inventions. It must come from a profound transformation in the consciousness of every individual and society as a whole. Master Huynh's teachings are not a prophecy of an inescapable apocalypse, but a moral compass pointing humanity at a crossroads. We have a choice. The path that Hoa Hao Buddhism charts, the path of cultivating oneself, practicing diligence and thrift, and living fully the 4 debts of gratitude, is the path back to harmony and balance between humanity and nature. It is a roadmap to creating a sustainable future where humanity is no longer a dominant exploiter, but a filial child who knows how to care for and protect Mother Earth. Choosing that path will not only bring peace to our inner world, but is also the only way to save life itself and usher in a new era for all humankind.